Hello, my name is Kelsey W, and I'm here to give you a brief history of electricity. When we think of electricity, I would say most of us probably think of lights. It's pretty easy. You just flick a switch and the lights come on. It's like magic. And when you think of who invented the light bulb, what name comes to mind? I would say for most people, they say Thomas Edison. Although that's really a trick question because Thomas Edison didn't actually invent the light bulb. There were many successful attempts for the previous 70 years before Edison came along and devoted serious research to the problem in 1878. What Edison and his team of Menlo Park Research did is they devoted their time to making the light bulb practical and affordable without burning out too quickly. By the summer of 1880, Edison and his team of Menlo Park researchers developed the paper horseshoe filament, which could last a whopping 600 hours.
To another great pioneer, exploring an unknown frontier amid the well-settled surroundings of Menlo Park, New Jersey. Thomas A. Edison, after more than 6,000 individual experiments, had finally developed an incandescent lamp that would burn for 40 hours.
The other thing that made Edison's bulb more successful is that it used a high resistance, which made power distribution from a centralized station economically viable. Next, Edison knew that light bulbs need electricity, and so he purchased 2 buildings next door to each other on Pearl Street in Manhattan.
Even after the light would work, it was no more than a curiosity unless people could somehow get electricity to use it. Edison envisioned a central generating station to manufacture electricity and a network of wires to deliver it to customers.
Pearl Street Station began operation on September 4th, 1882, and launched the power industry. This was the first central system station for producing incandescent lighting.
The birth of modern electric power systems took place in 1882. The dynamos started in the Pearl Street Steam Station in New York City.
In order to do this, Edison had to get permission from the New York politicians to run over 80,000 feet of pipe he called conduit beneath the streets of New York. He also had to install and make 6 jumbo dynamos, today what we would call a generator, and named after the popular circus elephant of the day. These generators each weighed 27 tons, 4 times the size of anything previously available. They only were able to each produce about 100 kilowatts, which was enough to power roughly 1,200 light bulbs. The service area for this Pearl Street station was only 1 square mile, but it included customers like the New York Times and Drexel Morgan & Company, of the known financier J. Pierpont Morgan. 3 years later, in 1886, the Edison-backed Seattle Electric Lighting Company used a shed on Jackson Street to install a reciprocating engine driving a dynamo to produce direct current power to serve a handful of nearby customers and streetlights. This was reported to be the first central system station west of the Rocky Mountains for supplying incandescent lighting. However, there were some big problems with DC or direct current. It really lost effectiveness for anything more than about a mile. But like many great new industries, a competing solution came along. By the mid-1880s, alternating current, or AC, began to compete with Edison's direct current, or DC. By 1887, a Serbian man named Nikola Tesla had developed and secured patents for a complete system of generators, transformers, and motors that used and produced alternating current power. This traveled much farther than direct current could. Westinghouse Company backed Tesla and bought many of his patents. In 1895, 3 Tesla-designed generators were installed at Niagara Falls. This piped power to Buffalo, New York, some 20 miles away, something that low-voltage DC systems just could not do. This paved the way for hydroelectric facilities and other generating installations that were much farther away from the load. Edison fought this for years, but ultimately AC became the way of the future for America and was really what was in use for most installations. In Seattle, the first hydroelectric facility was Snoqualmie Falls, installed in 1899. In 1902, the Seattle voters overwhelmingly approved a $590,000 bond measure to create the Cedar River Hydroelectricity Facility. This was important because it was the first publicly owned hydroelectric facility anywhere in the nation. In 1904, the company started by Charles Stone and Edwin Webster created the Electron Hydroelectric Facility in the foothills southeast of Tacoma. Edison, with his Pearl Street station, had really set the standard for reliable electric energy, and companies like Stone and Webster wanted to make sure that their electrical networks were the most reliable. Hydroelectric facilities, while providing for a lot of power, had to deal with seasonal variations, and so they weren't always consistent. Stone and Webster wanted to make sure that their electrical network was the best, so in 1906, they bought 17 acres of land next to the Duwamish River for the Georgetown steam plant.